just wonder if he realized it. Here we go. Ready? Ken Trahan, Lenny Vangilder, SportsNola.com. It's our first NBC weekend preview, and it's another great sports weekend. Of course, the New Orleans Hornets finished their home schedule for the 2011-2012 season last night with a thrilling overtime win over the Houston Rockets in a game that had a bunch of subplots, Lenny. You had the trade that wasn't, of course, and many players on the Rockets team that faced the Hornets that could have been Hornets. You had Carl Landry facing his former team. You had the final home game. You had the new owner in place who's there again and clapping. So this was really an important game for the Rockets, who lost their sixth straight, and they're battling for that final playoff spot in the West.
Right, and they're in big trouble. And I guess the resonating theme out of all of this, well, two parts. One, what's going to happen with the lottery? What's going to be the end result? That's probably going to be what we're watching here in the next week. Could the Hornets get on some kind of run here and really hurt their chances even more of landing a big pick in the lottery by reducing their chances? But the other thing is what might have been. If you've got a healthy Eric Gordon the entire season, instead of basically for just the last 3 weeks, what might this season have been for New Orleans? And then, can you re-sign him? He'll be a restricted free agent. So it's going to be a very interesting and perhaps promising offseason for the Hornets.
Very much so. If you look at this team, Jason Smith is much improved. Marco Bellinelli is improved. Chris Kaman is a solid player. Jarrett Jack is certainly good enough to play with, and he wasn't healthy. Eric Gordon, as we mentioned, they were never able to put their pieces on the floor together at the same time. And I'm not suggesting that this was a really good team. It wasn't. But it was a team that could have threatened at least to play 500 basketball and at least contend for a playoff spot. We shall see moving forward. Of course, the New Orleans Voodoo in action tonight at home in the arena. Turn it around. Get an arena football field in there and play the Pittsburgh Power tonight at 7. Both teams 2-3. And the story here is another major subplot in the fact that the former Voodoo coach is a coach with Pittsburgh now, and he has several former Voodoo players on that team.
You'll see a lot of familiar faces at the arena tonight, but this is the New Orleans team that is significantly improved over last year. You even look at last week's game against San Antonio. Had the lead for basically all of 3 quarters and let it get away in the fourth quarter against a San Antonio team with a very good quarterback in Garcia. And hopefully get back on the right track tonight, get it back to 500.
Well, it's going to be I would say, a very, very emotional scene tonight. I'm quite sure that'll be the case. Rush Radio 99.5 WRNO, 7 o'clock tonight, the Voodoo taking on the Pittsburgh Power. And, of course, when you look at baseball, it's a huge weekend. We'll start with Tulane, even though LSU has the bigger series. It's an important series for Tulane. They're over 500 in their league, but that's not good enough. They need more.
They really do. And this is a huge 17-day stretch starting tonight against UCF. You've got, outside of Rice, probably the 3 best teams in the league in UCF, East Carolina, Southern Miss over the next 3 weekends. Throw in there a midweek game against LSU coming up in a couple of weeks. That is 10 huge games that Tulane probably needs to go maybe 7-3, no worse than 6-4 in that stretch of games if you're hoping to be in the NCAA regional discussion come the first week of May.
Speaking of LSU, while their RPI might not be top 3 right now, they are ranked at the top of the heap in college baseball, along with Kentucky. And that's who they face in Lexington. And again, these two teams getting together, who would have thought they would be 2 of the top-ranked teams in the country before the season started?
Do you have Dale Brown in the dugout maybe to try to motivate this team? I don't know. When it comes to LSU, Kentucky, I'm thinking basketball back in the 70s, or maybe Devery Henderson's a miracle in the bluegrass. Now, no, it's Kentucky's been one of the great stories in college baseball this year. Really didn't play much, and it made a huge undefeated run at the start of the season. Didn't really attract much attention. All of a sudden, they swept South Carolina, the two-time defending national champions. First SEC weekend, and that opened some eyes. They have remained up there, continuing to win 2 out of 3 every weekend. They have not lost a series yet. LSU has really gotten it going here over the last 3 weeks. They've won 8 out of 9 in the league at a very key time when they needed to get it going. And it's the RPI in terms of LSU, it's going to continue to climb because they play more and more SEC games. They're only halfway through the SEC schedule. As more of those games start filtering in, the numbers will just go up. They've got a chance if they keep it going. The big thing they need to worry about, their national rankings mean nothing. They want to be a top 8 seed, and the road to Omaha would then go through Baton Rouge.
And I equate this Kentucky team to Vanderbilt of a year ago, just to put some perspective on how they have performed. As for the Saints, nothing new on the players and any possible suspensions or fines as of yet. Word is we might hear that by Monday. Regardless of what happens, Lenny, it's bound to cause a firestorm.
Well, this is going to be different than what we saw from the staff suspensions. Those were essentially non-appealable. Yes, they appealed, but nothing changed. The players, now you're getting the Players Association involved. There are rules in place in terms of what happens when the players appeal in terms of arbitration and mediators and such, and that will present a different situation. Remember what happened? You brought it up on the show Monday on Sports Nola TV. This could end up being like a star cap situation where the penalty phase of this drags out maybe 2 years before it's actually enforced. So what we hear, whether it's today or Monday, will far be the last of what we hear in this story.
And finally, again, some rumblings that the Saints and Drew Brees are close. We keep hearing this, but close doesn't mean anything, right? It's not horseshoes.
Not horseshoes, not hand grenades, none of that. When it's done, it's done. And when it's all said and done, it'll be interesting to hear what has slowed this process down. We obviously all, have different opinions on what's going on there, but at the end of the day, everybody agrees that number 9 needs to get back under contract and get back working with this team, especially without having Sean Payton out there. He becomes the de facto leader of this team.
Yeah, and not close like a left-handed bowler who, throws a bucket shot and gets a strike because they have 10 boards to work with, too. So just keep that in mind. Hey, listen, it's a great weekend. First NBC weekend preview. I had to get a shot in. He's left-handed. I'm not. So there you go. And, of course, we ask you to support First NBC Bank and our friend Ashton Ryan. And, of course, come to sportsnola.com for every ounce of sports information you could possibly want. Lenny, have a good weekend.
Yeah, one other promo, WHNO, Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock. We've got some college baseball. Nichols and Lamar, live from Thibodaux, Saturday afternoon.
The Colonels and the Cardinals. Check it out on WHNO. Have a great weekend. God bless you.